Okay, so back with another session, and I promised that this one would have a bit more action in it. I assume it does, given that the amount that I'm either up or down. Last session I was, I think it was plus 177, something like that. This one is a lot higher, and I won't say which way as to not to spoil it. So I'm guessing that there was some action. So let's see. Again, it's 5NL, and I haven't actually recorded some of my sessions lately. I really wish I'd recorded a session I played today where I played 1,200 hands. The first 800 hands, I was down, I think, $1. And the next 400 hands, I won $38. I've never seen so many donations. I really wish I'd recorded it. Would have been a fun video, but I forgot to. Anyway, let's watch this video. And for the $38 I won, I think crack at 10 and L is probably in order. I could afford to play 10 and L. I could afford to play 25 and L, but I want to just play a decent sample at 5 and L and just try and work on my game because there's still so much to work on. There's so many mistakes. Anyway, take it down with the A7, and I presume here with a 10-6 with a heart, I would think, oh, well, it's a pot-sized bet. It probably could go either way. Fold might be a little bit tight, but not ridiculous. So as much as I've promised some action, I guess the action happens in the last 32 minutes. Well, this is about 35 minutes, this video. So far, session is young, or maybe here. Okay, opening a straight draw, I presume we go for a C bet here. Probably a bit larger than, usually I go half pot, I think, on this kind of board, yeah. Get called. I think I want to check this now. I don't think I want to bet because I really don't want to get bet and get raised. So I want to just go and check and call. And now check and just hope that the 9 is good and call with the king 8 on the left. Get a nice turn. The 9-8, depending on what I think that sizing, I think I'm probably just going to have to fold. Really don't beat anything other than maybe 4-6. Looks like I'm going for raise with the king 8, which I think is the right play. Yeah, the 9-8 I think is just going to have to go in the bin. Unless I had some stats on this guy saying he was a complete maniac. Yeah. On king 8 on the left, the bloke's only got 36 big blinds, so I presume that we just play for the rest of it here if he has a better hand. Yeah, just put him in. Just if he has a better hand, good luck to him. Just call him with the jacks. Seems fair. Critiquing your own play, I suppose, is of some use, but it's probably not that surprising any faults. That a lot of the time I think what I've done is okay. Maybe all these things would be slightly better if someone who knew what they were doing critiqued them, but hey ho, I've just got myself for analysis. So the jacks here, I didn't actually see what happened on the turn. Did I bet? Yeah, I think a bet here makes sense. Don't see it being too likely that we're beaten, but usually what will happen here is you'll bet, and if you get raised, you can probably fold because you're just not going to get too many people bluffing. You get raised. I mean, it could be a bluff. I doubt it though. How did the hand go though? Does it make too much sense for him to have an overpay? He could have tens full, eights full. Is he going to take a hand like ace king or ace queen, just turn it to a bluff? We do have a set of jacks on the left, so I guess I decide to fold on the basis of I give him eights full, tens full, or maybe aces, kings, or queens. I don't know. Sometimes I think I fold the river because I think at 5 and L there isn't actually that much bluffing in certain spots, and under the gun raiser who then plays like that, it could be a bluff, but it just isn't a bluff that often. I think I should go big with the jacks here. We want to try and set up for a shove on the river. So it's probably about the right size. So definitely some more action so far because just simply because the hands are better. Queen's here. Because I don't have the HUD up, I haven't got the stats. I presume here I would just call an early position raise and get 3-bet. I would usually just call. And that's a pretty beautiful flop. I would presume just a call here against that sizing. Just the quads on the turn. Which is almost certainly a bad card, because if he has a hand like Ace King or Ace Jack, he may well not like it and slow down. And I'm going big here, am I? I suppose I'm really just hoping that he has an ace. Yeah, I wonder if that's the right play. If he has an ace, I think he's probably going to check it back. So I don't think we can just check to him, because he's going to check all his hands like nines, tens, jacks. I think betting, but maybe betting a little bit smaller was the right play. But some hands again. So the nut flush draw on the right, ace king on the left. Two callers. Did I just call with that ace king? I didn't 3-bet that ace king. Hmm. Still, sometimes when I watch my play, that a pattern I notice is I do tend to get a little bit passive. I don't think I 3-bet frequently enough, particularly against early position raisers. I can tighten up too much. Get away with it there with the ace king, but I think it's just a sort of standard 3-bet. I don't mind occasionally throwing in a call, but I think the standard play has to be the 3-bet. Trash and trash. And I guess I hold on with the 7-6 here on the basis that if one of these other guys calls, then I might want to put 1.4 in with this kind of hand. I don't think I should defend 7-6 suited. I think I will. 7-6 off, I think it's just a bit too weak. Jack 8 of diamonds and the cutoff, I think much of the time is going to be an open. Uh, if people were 3-betting more frequently, then I think Jack 8 of diamonds would be a fold. And this is the kind of board I think you either want to check back, or if I bet, I want to bet reasonably big. I've gone half pot. I think I might want to go a little bit larger if I do choose to bet, given that this is going to be a check back a lot. And I certainly want to bet big if check to on this turn. So many, our hand needs so much protection. There are plenty of worse hands that can call us. Loads of pair and straight draw, 5-7, 6-7. I think we want to go at least 7, maybe, yep. I think that's a good size bet. And just value bet the king jack. So far, like I say, it's just more interesting because we're just hitting a few cards. We're getting dealt some hands, hitting a few cards. Uh, be interesting to look at that Jack's hand again that I folded, whether or not I think that was the right play. And I think it's a 7x raise. We can probably let go of that ace-5. In position, I think King 7 suited is going to have to be a call here in the big blind. King 7 off, probably let go. King 7 suited, we can call. I kind of like betting when you get checked to here. You don't have to bet particularly big, but when people check, just so much of it is just going to be ace high, queen high, just nothing hands, and a hand like that needs protection, so I think it's best just to go ahead and bet it. This is when you play at the lower stakes like I am. There are certain plays you just don't see that much of, and things like a check raise there would be quite unusual. And if you did see it, the person generally has a hand. People aren't going to be putting you in really tricky spots as often as they would at, pretty much higher limits. And I think that I see bet probably too much. Check back this time with the King Jack. It's just a lot of people play quite straightforwardly, so they'll fold to the c bet. So you may as well c bet pretty liberally. Here, I think this is just an easy bet. He can have Ace Jack, but he could certainly have Queen Jack, Jack Nine, Queen 10, 9. So there's so many hands we can get value from here. So just an easy bet. He folds. I think I can probably put the 5 Dewey in the bin. Not sure what I'm thinking about there. And again, Queen 3 of diamonds. Pretty much anything suited in position I think is certainly a call. I'd be surprised if I stab at this. People don't generally raise and then check fold an ace high board, given that their range is going to have so many more aces in than ours is. The thing about I'm probably going to check this, and we do win. I'm surprised there. If you have 9-10, I think that you have to be betting at some point, given that I've showed no interest in the pot. Checking queen high there because it has some showdown value. If you bet, you're literally just trying to get into fold king high. Tight fold with king jack, but I guess it's because the guy on the button had only like half a stack. I didn't want to 3-bet. Yep, 3-bet the king queen. Generally, what I'll do is I'll triple somebody's raise in position, quadruple it out of position. I think I don't go to 6.6, probably because I'm too lazy to type it in. So I just go to either 6.4 or 7.4, and I think it makes too much difference. And this 6 is, I think, probably going to be a fold. Yeah. Fine, just a standard third C bet. It could go a little bit bigger with 2 spades out there. I think when it's a flush draw, I tend to go a little larger. And I just want to call here. Don't think you ever want to 3-bet. Certainly 135 big blinds deep. We don't want to get this in. Now I think with ace queen, you just really want to go into check call mode. Keep his bluffs in and go for the minimum if he does have a hand like ace 7 or 9-7 or ace 9. We're going to have the best hand a lot. When he checks, I think I would like to see a bet. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't think he's ever checking behind on the turn with a better hand than ace queen. Unless I've decided that this guy's got really bluffy stats, and I think that the best thing here is to check call to try and pick off a bluff. Not sure I like that. I think that we missed out value there. Let's see if I write in the chat what he had, because I can't remember. Apparently I do. He put ace 5. Yeah, so we've missed out on a little bit of value there. I don't think that's absolutely terrible. I mean, a raise on the flop and then check back on the turn is quite a common line you'll see when people are bluffing. They go for the bluff on the flop, they get called, they go, oh shit, I didn't get away with it, so they check back the turn, and then sometimes they'll then bluff the river. So I don't hate that play. I think maybe a small bet on the river was the best play. We bet the straight and we get check raise. There's no play here to do other than call. It isn't a pleasant spot because there are three spades. King Jack is at least a possibility. For that price, you're just going to split quite a lot. Occasionally, he's going to have bluffs. Occasionally, he's going to have even a set or two pair. Occasionally, you'll see people turn up with here when they shouldn't ever have those hands. Uh, just going to call. I can't believe I do anything else. Yeah, see, King Queen is weird. Like, is that? I don't know what that is, and that's sort of what I meant by you'll see people turn up with like sets and two pair. What is he doing there? Is that a bluff? Is that a value bet? If it's for value, it's just way too thin. If it's a bluff, do you really want to take a hand that's got that much showdown value and turn it into a bluff? I don't think so. So it's just very strange play. I think that's what they call either a merge or a polarization error. I'm trying to sound like I know what I'm talking about here. When people take the middle of their range and then start betting it when it doesn't make any sense. Ace Queen here. I don't mind whether I call the three, but I think my standard play here is probably to call out of position with Ace Queen to an early position raise. That is a little bit tight. The advantage being it's very cheap to get away from when you get a crummy board. I think betting the jack eight here might be a smidge thin, so I think checking it down and just hoping that it's good is probably the right play. I'd like to see a small bet here with the king eight. It's going to be the best hand most of the time. Needs a bit of protection. This has been a session of mostly sort of steady, smallish accumulation. I don't think there's been any like massive pots. There's just been lots of smallish pots that have mostly been kind to us. Definite bet here with the king eight, and I quite like that sizing. I think he's not going to have too many very strong hands here yet. Raise it up with the queen five. If I'm that's not a raise in general, but if I see somebody has very tight stats, then I would basically just raise any two for a small size and small blind. I guess that's what I was doing there. I guess a lot. I use that phrase, then I'm going to stop using that as much. Alrighty. Rockets and an under the gun razor. Do we get any action? And I decide to go for eight big blinds. Okay, usually I would go six. There must have been a reason. We are a bit deeper, so I think this does make some sense. And what do I go for? I think, yeah, I go for a check back. I don't know about that. I think don't mind a check back if I have a spade or a club. I don't. I think without I should be betting. And I go for a double check back. Okay. Um, Sometimes I do stuff when I watch back, and I'm not totally sure I agree with it. That's a bit. It's a bit too cautious, a bit trappy. I know that. I guess what I'm. I guess. I think what I'm doing is I can sometimes get a bit worried about getting check raised in spots where it's really shit to get check raised, particularly when you're very deep. But I think the check back on the turn is a mistake. I think there you should just be betting. King Jack with the Jack of Spades. Do I go for a tight fold? What do I call? I hover over the fold button and then travel over to the call button and mumble to myself about not hitting a King Jack or a spade on the turn and then give up. If I know me, that's what I was doing. We definitely give up now. What I do with the ace queen on the right here, I assume would be entirely dependent on the guy's stats. If I'm going for a raise here, I would assume this guy has slightly looser stats, because if this guy had very tight stats, ace queen off would be a bit borderline. But against someone who was playing 20-something big blinds, who was a bit loose, I think this is definitely a hand we want to 3-bet and get in. And he gets to 3.4x on a 20-something big blind stack and folds. That is strange. Sevens against a large-ish 3-bet. I think it's okay to fold that. It's a bit tight, but it is tough to play those kind of hands out of position. You're not going to flop a 7 very often. You're going to have to check fold a lot. But here with the nines, I think this is definitely a cool. First of all, it's not a particularly big 3-bet. Secondly, we're going to have position against the guy in the big blind. Thirdly, the likelihood is the small blind will come along, which he doesn't. But still, I think this is definitely a call. And this will certainly be a call on flop, depending on sizing. If he goes absolutely enormous, we would probably fold. Definitely calling once here. Definitely not going to fold just a 1-bet. We can improve, obviously, if we hit a 9, but we're going to have the best hand, quite a good chunk here. He's going to have ace king, ace queen, ace jack, king queen, all those sorts of hands. This is an interesting card. This is a card I don't think he's really going to bet very often. He'll hate it, because if he does have one of those big pairs, this slows him down. And we have more 10x than he does. He really doesn't have much, if any. Maybe ace 10 suited. Maybe. Pocket tens, one combination. It doesn't have much. And what I like to do here often is a really small bet. I think it freezes people up if they have an overpair because they can't raise here. And you get a bit of value if they have ace king, ace queen. Either the value can come from they call and they miss, or you just take it down and you can protect your hand. So I think a small bet here does make a lot of sense. And he folds. When he folds, we clearly had the best hand. That we can protect our hand for a cheap price. That's getting kind of the point I was sort of trying to make. Well, hello, hello. Queen 10 from the big blind and flopping the nuts. And we get a guy betting and a guy calling, and I should hope we raise here. That's the only play. Yeah, that sizing looks fine. Yep, no problem with that. We get a caller from a guy who's got 37 behind, and we need to go big here. 2 flush draws out there, plenty of rivers that we're not going to like. Let's go big. Yeah, I think that's fine. Puts one guy all in. All right, okay, that's fine. And we're up against a set. Do we hold? We do. A lovely brick on the river. If I'd known that was the river, I probably would have bet smaller on the turn. There's a couple of pretty reasonable stacks on the tables. Looks like the session's gone well. And like I say, a lot of the time when you get a better session, you play okay, but you hit some hands, and other people hit slightly worse hands, and you get paid off. I mean, as much as there's a lot of complexity to poker, sometimes it's pretty simple. Raise it up with the Queen Jack, get a crummy old board. And again, whether I go for a c-bet or not, at least in part, depends on the type of player I'm up against. If I'm playing against someone who's much more active, then I may well just give up. If I'm playing against someone who folds a lot to c-bets, I'll probably just bet small. And yeah, I suspect I'm just checking and with a minuscule amount of showdown value. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to fight for every pot on those kind of boards. Probably favors him more than us, so it's okay sometimes just to give up. Okay, pretty looking hand on the left. Probably not pretty enough for that though. I think as pretty as it is, it's just a fold. Apparently, I hung around to see what people were playing. When I do that sometimes, just to see if I can get a sense of the kind of hands people have. If I can guess, if I'm, if I get to see them, just how close I was in terms of guessing. The Megature who squeezed pre is representing a big pair. I don't if he has pocket aces, pocket kings. I don't really like this play. I don't think you need to go this big. I think you just need to go something like 15 big blinds and then shove the river. I'm not sure I would shove here. Yeah. If he has ace king, even then I'd probably like it a little bit more. But I think a small bet and then a river shove. But it worked out for him. And I want to see a cold four bet with the ace king. It's a strong hand. We've got blockers to aces and kings. I think this is a really good spot to do it. His range doesn't stand necessarily to be that strong. He could be three betting light-ish against a cutoff open. If he shoves, I start crying. But I typed poo into the chat. I really am an idiot. I think with ace king suited, I probably call ace king off. I would assume this has to be close. Ugh. I don't know about that. I don't know. If his stats were quite tight, then perhaps that made sense. Yeah, ace king suited, I think I would call. So ace king off. Yeah, don't know. The only thing I can think is the guy's stats put me off. But I think that should probably have been a call. Now I go for a bit of a loose-ish, no, loose-ish three bet with Jack ten of spades against a cutoff open. Get a cold call from the big blind, and I suspect that I'm unhappy with this, although I can't remember what happens. Yeah, I think a small c bet here, hoping the guy's got like a couple of black nines, for example. Jack 10 is not really a great hand to have here because when he cold calls a uh, three bet, a lot of people when they do that have jacks and 10. So the fact that we've got Jack 10 means it's quite unlikely. So maybe that means he's leaning more towards having an ace. I don't know. It looks to me like I'm just giving up here, and perhaps I've been bailed out. Perhaps we've just got a split pot. Wow, ace king suited. That's a surprise to see a hand as strong as that. We did get away with it to get a split pot. I think that on his stack size there, he should have just simply shoved pre, or at least put in a four bet. So we got a bit fortunate there. So just about 4 and a bit minutes to go. We've got time for one more big hand. Don't think it'll be this one. Ace 10 against a small blind 3-bet should be a fold. Aces again. I'm in the aces meister lately. I have to say, like, I seem to have had aces a lot recently. I don't know whether I have or it just feels like that, but usually you're always saying, oh, I never get aces or kings, but lately I've had them quite a bit, so I think I've run quite good lately. And well, we have the easiest squeeze here of all time. Go large. We go. That is large. Probably could have gone to 17, 18, but yeah, 19 is okay. And like I said before, sometimes poker is a complicated game. Sometimes it isn't. When you have aces and a guy shoves, you don't have to be a genius to play this one. He shoves jacks. I mean, that's probably fair enough. He might think that I'm squeezing a bit light, particularly since there was two other people in the pot, and I don't have to have aces there. I could have had, ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace five suit. I could have had plenty of hands, so it might be a little bit bold, but not totally ridiculous. And then we hold up, so that's nice. Sometimes a stack just sort of finds its way towards you, and you didn't really have to do anything at all to earn it. Yeah, 3-bet the ace queen of diamonds. Can't be folding here. 2 overs and a backdoor diamond draw. I think this is just a pretty straightforward call. Uh, against that sizing, this is kind of awkward. We rarely have the best hand here. We're not drawing to much, but for that price, I think we do have to call. Then we could probably let this go, boys, don't you? Ace queen high is not getting the job done. Probably a borderline fold on the turn there. We're just not drawing to much. So heading into the final minute or so, and we get a nice looking board here with ace queen. Decide to go for the half pot. Half pot I think is fine on that board. Right, so end of the session, and I said I would provide the winning figure or losing figure. This was a winning session, up $13.96. So always nice to have a winning session. I don't think I did anything particularly special, particularly with that hand there at the end, aces versus jacks. Don't have to be genius to play that. Anybody still watching, really appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.